evening. It's Ariel with Airing It Out with Ariel, and I'm here to do the podcast that I was supposed to do several weeks ago, but I just have not gotten to, which is the dating podcast episode. Where are my notes? Okay, so this is a dating podcast episode, and I was supposed to do this a lot of weeks ago, but I've been so busy with the other part of my business that I just have not been able to make this a priority. However, the other part that I wanted to make sure that I did was to do a little experiment so that I could share what I would say was my empirical data from that experiment. So um, that's why it took me a little longer to get to this episode. So, yes, this is the episode for dating, and my yes or no question that I had hella weeks ago for this episode was in reference to had I dated interracially as an adult. And my short answer to that was no, because as an adult, I have not. I date gold gentlemen, and so I could, as an adult, I can't say that I've entertained anybody that wasn't gold. I will say though, as a youth, I was very much into entertaining everybody under the sun, in the sense that I didn't care what your ethnicity, nationality was. I kind of just liked a different guy, which usually meant different than me. And so that was me, but that's the Aquarius in me, not the, I like to try other things. Me, it's just, that's the Aquarius in me. It's just, I like to be different on purpose, like an asshole. So, yeah, that was that. But so as an adult, no, I have not. But as a youth, I was really into that. Like, that was really exciting for me. So yeah. So then I asked like 5 survey questions during that time period. Um, Anywhere from like, would you date somebody that you knew was married, to do you have sex on the first date? And I was curious because either I could relate to some of these questions, or I was just really curious to know, like in 2021, what individuals are up to, right? What they're into, what they like, what they think is appropriate, what kind of shit they would engage in. So, um, so like I said, like the so one of the questions that I asked, for instance, was would you knowingly date someone that was married? And 62% of the people that responded said no, and 38% of the people said yes. I expected most people to say no, I would not date someone that I knew was married, and I think that that's probably more often than not, as people would say no. If I knew a motherfucker was married, I probably wouldn't, fuck around with them. However, that 38%, of individuals that said, yeah, I would entertain, I would knowingly date someone that was married. I mean, I've done that, right? When I was young and dumb and, felt like I could or should do dumb shit. For whatever reason, right? But being young, you do stupid, silly shit, and um, yeah, I did that. Whether I knew or I didn't know, I've done it. So I can see both sides of it. But I also know, like, at this time in my life, at this age in my life, and not that I'm old, but that at this point in my life, knowing what I know, and knowing what I know about relationships and knowing what I know about behaviors, it's like this female said to me one time. She said, "How you get them is how you lose them." So if you get him while he's with another bitch, you're going to lose him to another bitch. You know what I mean? And I think that if you've ever been in that situation, if you've ever been the other bitch, then you know what it's like when he starts fucking around with other bitches. Because you were that one. You know what I mean? So you really can't be upset because, you know, you played that position, right? Hello. So it's just like, do you grow out of that shit? Do you learn and say, hell no, I'm not ever going to entertain a situation like that because I don't want a motherfucker to entertain some shit like that when it's, you know, when it's my, you know, significant other, right? I don't want somebody entertaining my significant other, so I'm not going to entertain someone else's. So, I mean, you live and you learn, right? And you get smart, or you don't, and you keep doing silly, dumb shit like that and run the risk, you know, of, you know, TikTok gunshot, right? You know, a motherfucking situation. So, yes. So, then the next question I have, because I was a firm believer in that I think people are probably giving up the goodies, you know, sooner rather than later. So sex on the first date, hell no or yes, right? So 71% of people said hell no, which was a surprisingly high number of hell no's. I expected it to be a little less, like maybe like a 60-40 split. But no, a lot of people was like, hell no, I ain't fucking on the first date. Which, I mean, when I talk to like guy friends, they'll be like, oh yeah, right, you know what I mean? Like, girls want to give it up all the time. But, I mean, I don't know if that's, you know, really the reality of how people see themselves, right? Not, you know, so. But yeah, I thought that was a really interesting response, and I don't know that I've ever. I mean, I guess you'd have to be on a date, right? So yeah. And next question. So, dating apps, which are hellacious, and they were part of my experiment. Um, I will say that I'm familiar with dating apps, right? First of all, let's be fucking clear. These shits are rarely for dating. They're for dating in name only. Okay? They are not for dating in practice. The people that get the fuck on dating apps, you are either like, some of them are fucking hardcore, like they want a fucking relationship, and then they either want to fuck. You know what I mean? Or they're on there like passively, right? And if some shit happens, some shit happens, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And they're really not paying no, they're really not giving the shit no effort, you know? But I feel like calling it a dating app is really reaching when you're talking about these motherfucking apps. You know, where you put what, like 160, 200, 300 characters about your motherfucking self and some pictures, and then you hope some asshole, you and some asshole swipe the right way on each other on purpose or on accident, right? So that you guys can communicate. But that's only if, right? Sometimes it's only if, right? Like, you could afford it, right? Like, that asshole may like you, and you know, accidentally swipe the wrong way. You know, maybe you haven't come in contact with their profile. Maybe they're fucking yonder, and you know, you're not looking far, right? But they are. But you gotta fucking pay to see who's digging you, right? And you don't. So it's just, I feel like it's some bullfucking shit. So, anyways, the question was, feelings on dating apps. Hate them or feel like they're the only way. And 75% of people said they hated them, which I think is fair. You know, I think that that's really consistent with what you hear. If you know anybody who's ever been on a fucking dating app, They probably say they're fucking trash. Unless some asshole got married off of them. And I won't. Well, put it this way, I won't be shady because I did meet my ex-husband on a social media website. However, I don't know that it was a dating app. I don't know that it was a dating app. I don't think that was a dating app. I won't say what it was because it's irrelevant. But it was. I don't think it was a dating app. It was more just like a community. And so, yeah, um, yeah. I mean, I guess both ways, right? You can meet a loser on a dating app or on some place like Facebook or IG or some shit. But you could also end up marrying some asshole that you meet off of those locations. So I mean, I don't think all the time it's all bad, but I think that some of these apps that are called dating are really fucking reaching. Um, so yeah, I'll talk more about the experiment with the dating app. Okay, and so my other question that I feel passionate about, but I don't know how most people feel about it. I mean, in general, uh, the statement, do you agree with it? If you're not married, you're single. And I feel like people take it a little offensively, um, and maybe you should. But for me, it's more about the flexibility of relationships that are not under contract, right? And so the question was, like I said, do you agree with the following statement? If you're not married, you're single. 62% of people said no, they don't agree with that statement. 38% of people agreed. So my position is this. Absolutely. If you are not married, you are absolutely single. There is no gray area about it. There is no this is my boyfriend, this is my fiance. Even being your fiance doesn't mean shit. You know? Your fiance isn't even your next of kin. That motherfucker can't make now decision for you if shit hit the fucking fan. That asshole isn't gonna be a part of the fucking equation unless somebody in your family asked them to. So it's really a very cut and dry relationship. And I feel like that's how boyfriend girlfriend relationships are. They're very fluid, meaning from one day to the next, y'all could end that shit, pack your shit up and leave. And that's not to say that married folks can't pack their shit up and leave, but at some point, some paperwork is gonna have to be done for somebody in that relationship. I mean, or y'all could not be together and just get married and just die like that. I mean, that'd be terrible. But whatever. But if you have good sense, at some point, you're gonna need to tie that shit up in a knot, and burn the motherfucking ends. So you have to deal with the situation versus a boyfriend girlfriend. I mean, even if you guys are living together, pack your raggedy ass shit up, take it to your mama's house, your brother, your sister, Tyrone, who gives a fuck, okay? But it's a whole lot easier when it's a boyfriend girlfriend situation than when there is I feel like when there's a contract between you, and at some point, somebody's gonna have to nullify all those things in your life. And I also say this, for very practical purposes, you cannot claim your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your baby daddy, and none of the rest of that bullshit on your taxes as far as being married. It's not, there isn't a box for it's complicated. You know what I mean? There isn't a box for we're engaged. It's you're fucking married, you're single, you're head of the fucking household, and that's it. So all the rest of that shit really doesn't count. Okay? Nobody recognizes it. For real. And the last question had to do with dating someone for 20 years. Or would you date someone 20 years your senior, so 20 years older than you? And I like this question because I feel like for women, well, I guess, yeah, for women it's cool. You know what I mean? Like if a young woman marries an older guy, I mean, people side eye it, but it's 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 expected, right? It's something that you can expect to see. But what you wouldn't expect to see is some young 22-year-old supermodel motherfucker, right? Married to some 60-year-old fucking lady. I'm not gonna call her old, but well, 60 years old. Some 60-year-old lady. I think more people would side eye that relationship than would side eye a 60-year-old guy and a 22-year-old female because they're more comfortable with the image of, the old guy with the younger woman. But 62% of people said that was not their cup of tea. And I was actually surprised at that high of a percentage. I thought it would be maybe a little bit more evenly spread out, but 62% said it's not their cup of tea and 38% said of course. And I would have to say that when I was much younger, and not much, much, much younger, but just much younger, I was like in my early 20s, and I dated a guy. He had to be like 50, in his early 50s maybe. And he was good looking, and he was just nice. I don't even know where I met this motherfucker. Probably at the grocery store, some corny shit like this. But yes, yeah. Anyways, um, he was really nice, and I would go to his home or whatever, and we would just hang out, and he would cook and things like this, and he was just very like kind, and I was so young that obviously I hadn't really experienced like nobody do the kind of shit that he was doing, so it was just really different. But what fucked it up was obviously because he was older, he had older siblings. So he had a sister who was probably, I don't know, around his age. And he invited me to her home for dinner. And I could tell, like, right away, she was not feeling the situation. She was not here for he and I's getting together, this interaction that he and I were having. She was not okay with it. And I'm pretty sure that we never saw each other again after that. But yeah, I could tell that she was just not okay with him, having such a young friend. And, I could dig that because, I mean, me and my little brother are only like, what, 5 years apart. But, if we're in our 60s and he's dating some tackhead that's 22, I'm going to have a lot to say about it. Like, a lot to say. So I can imagine, what his sister could have been thinking. And I mean, the 20-year-old me, really? Come on. Okay? So I can only imagine what she was thinking or what she said. But it's cool. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. I say at this point in my life, I probably would. I feel like it would really depend on the guy, honestly. And it would depend on a whole lot. No, I wouldn't say a whole lot of things. It would depend on all the things that I want out of, you know what I'm saying, a guy in a relationship in general. He would have to meet all that criteria. But then there's the added criteria of you're 20 years older. So then it's like, okay, well, are you going to be able to last? And I don't mean sexually, I mean like last, like in the relationship, right? I don't expect us to live for the same amount of time, even if we were the same age. But I definitely don't expect you to not be able to live for another 20 years after that, right? I mean, you're 20 years my senior, you know what I mean? So I expect you to live for another 20, 25, 30 years, you know, past where you are right now. So you got to be, you know, that's the longevity, right, that I would have to consider and that I would expect him to consider if he'd want to be with somebody that's younger, is to think like, okay, this person, you know, God willing, is going to be here for a while, so I want to be here with them. Otherwise, that shit wouldn't work for me. But that's just me. So yeah, but I think as a norm, I mean, I feel like if I'm like when I open myself up to dating, you know, I would talk to a guy that was like 60 years old. And when I say talk to, like if a motherfucker approached me, like I would talk to him. You know what I mean? Would I give this motherfucker my number? It would depend, right? But I would definitely talk because I like to challenge guys, and not in a bad way, just like in a way that I feel like um, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like guys are really confident. Sometimes I feel like they're pussies. But I feel like, you know, they need to be questioned, right? And I need to get to the bottom of shit. And because I'm so direct, you know, for them it's just like, oh, you know, you get straight to it. And yeah, motherfucker, because why waste time, right? Why would I beat around the bush about getting to the shit that I know is either going to be a deal breaker or that I'm never going to fucking entertain, right? Why would I and why should anybody else waste their fucking time bull fucking shitting when in the end you're going to tell me some shit I don't want to hear and this going to be a wrap. I don't need to entertain some shit for 25, 30 minutes to ascertain whether or not I want to be bothered. You know, I can ask some real key questions, and if your answers are not to the affirmative, you know, it's a hard no. It's a wrap, and I'm exiting stage left. You know, wherever that may be, wherever the nearest exit is, getting the fuck out of there, and that's just how it is for me. But so my experiment, or what I wanted to do, was because my dating situation and my celibacy, I feel like it's challenging to date, not because I have the urge to, you know, give it up, but mainly because, you know, I don't really think that, you know, guys can really appreciate the value and the dedication and, you know, just appreciate the sacrifice of celibacy, right? It's for yourself, but I feel like it's also for whatever individual or whoever the individual is that you choose to give yourself to when you break that celibacy. I feel like that is such a huge choice, and it's such a big gift to give someone, especially if you are very intentional about why you are celibate, why you choose to be celibate, and then also, the person that decides to, in some ways, partake in that journey with you so that they can be with you, I feel like is very powerful. So, um, dating for me is like, I don't want the pressure of feeling, I don't want somebody else to want something from me that I'm not going to give them, because it's going nowhere fast, right? So I don't want to be in a relationship, or not even to be in a relationship. I don't even want to be talking to someone who thinks that they're going to get something that they're not getting. So I won't say that when you tell people that outright that they're like, oh, okay, well, I'll holla. But I do feel like people, um, either they think that they can, that they'll be able to break you down, right? Or, they feel like maybe that you're not really that serious about it. And, um, there's something about them that's special that'll have you, give in to them. So I just don't want the pressure of, I don't want the pressure of feeling like I'm doing something for somebody else, or that I have to please somebody else because of what somebody else wants, right? It's just pointless. I want somebody that understands it and that respects it for all that it is. And I appreciate someone who even respects their self, enough to abstain, right? And not that you need to be celibate, but do you respect yourself enough to abstain from, you know, shit like sex or unprotected sex or sex with motherfuckers that you don't really know, and shit like that. But so my experiment was just to kind of get back out there and get on a dating app or two or 10 and see what the feel was, right? Because it's damn sure not post pandemic, but people are getting out more since the pandemic, and I've been celibate for almost 4 years, and I haven't dated and since like 2018. It's like February 2018, I reckon. So it's been a long ass fucking time since I have really um, been on a dating app, for sure, for damn sure. A long ass time, because I treat dating apps like porn, right? I like to skip to the good parts and end it. I don't give what it is. I don't have time to watch the whole shit, right? I don't have time. I don't want to answer all these questions because nobody reads them, and even if they do read them, they don't give a fuck about what you said, right? Because what are they gonna do? They're gonna ask you the same fucking questions that you've already fucking answered. So it's dumb as fuck, and I feel like also when you're given, 200, 300, 150 words, characters, whatever, to describe yourself, it's either, I don't know, it just doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel like the way you want to meet someone. But anyways, I did it, and I don't. I feel like things were different because how I approached it was different. But I also feel like the energy from guys here in Texas is different from the energy that I've that I get or that I've gotten from guys in other states. And I don't really know what it is, to be perfectly honest. Um, but I will say, when I was on the East Coast, I really like the Southeast. I really like the gentleman vibe down there, and not gentlemen in that they're all pleasant and nice. That ain't it. When I say gentlemen, I just mean like the gold and the chocolate fellas. Um, just kind of how they are. I really enjoyed them, and I enjoyed that environment. But I think it had a little bit to do with the education too. Having a lot of highly educated individuals. It's just it's a different type of vibe, I can say. It's a different type of interaction. It's a different kind of tone, and I really enjoyed that. So, um, but I need to find a cowboy or something, right? I like a very masculine male, and I don't really feel like that's gonna be a motherfucker that's on the motherfucking internet using his thumbs, you know what I mean, to type in what the fuck he's looking for. So, uh, I don't feel like I would. I mean, I feel like I went into it thinking how I think every time that I get on a dating app. Like, oh, you know, for however many days or the day that I'll stay on there, I'll come across someone and it will be right and we'll happen to link up and then, right? And so it will be right. So then, you know, uh, because I'm gonna be, because it's gonna fly by. You know what I mean? If you caught me, then then you were supposed to, and if you didn't, well then, see you later. Um, but that's usually how it is, and I like to just treat them very like just run through them because there's no reason to me. There's no reason to sit the fuck around and really wait, right? Run through, and when I say run through them, I just mean like go through the damn options. Who's on there? If the chickens are not clucking, right? If there's nobody that I am attracted to, if there's nobody that there's a mutual attraction to, there's no fucking reason to be on there. At least that's how I look at it. There's no reason for me to stay the fuck on here and just be hoping and wishing and praying that one of these motherfuckers who passed me up a long time ago will somehow one day come back across my profile and then be like, oh, okay, well, I guess, like, fuck that. If you didn't like it the first time, you know what I mean? So to me, it's like, go through the shit. It's either a hit or a motherfucking miss, and I'm out. For me, it's a hit or a miss, and I'm out. So I was much better this time with how long I was willing to stay, but I couldn't. I despise dating apps. That shit makes me sick. It makes me sick even fucking signing up. It pisses me off. It pisses me off. It really fucking pisses me off. It's making me angry just thinking about it. It pisses me off because it's such bullshit. So, no, I always say I feel like it's so much better to meet someone organically because then in theory, right? If you meet somebody organically, there's really an attraction there. It's not like, oh, they were vetting their fucking internet options, right? No, it's you saw me at the park, you see me at the grocery store, you always see me at the bakery, right? You always see me at the coffee shop, you see me in traffic, you bumped into me somewhere, right? You know me from, the school, something. I feel like those are so much more real and organic than I was looking through your profile and you had a fat ass and big titties and a tiny waist, and I thought, wow, right? We were meant to be. I've always wanted someone like you, right? I mean, I feel like it means more when it's organic. When you meet a motherfucker in public and you would approach them and you would say out of your face the same things that you would type. Because I feel like that's the disconnect that I don't like. I don't want a guy that's comfortable talking to me on the internet, but that would never talk to me if he's seen me in person. That shit, I just can't go for. I like a guy that would approach me in public and fucking speak to me, because that's what a real attraction is somebody that would cut through all your bullshit. Even if you were walking around with a resting bitch face and he felt like he was attracted to you, he would cut through all your bullshit and talk to you. Period. Because he would be saying to himself, I don't give a fuck about that look she got on her face. She obviously need A, B, or C, or D, okay? And maybe I need to give it to her. Okay? And then, right, and then she'll be smiling, perhaps, okay? So I feel like that's also the confidence in a guy. Is like, my shit don't stink. That I feel like as a male, that's what the fuck you need to be. And you don't need to be that with every motherfucking female, but you need to be that way with the female. Like, if it was somebody online that you would talk to, would you talk to that person in person? And I feel like there's the disconnect. And I don't feel like a woman should have to, not that a woman cannot go to a man or go up to a man and, hey, how you doing? You look great. You have a great smile. But right. I don't feel like that's out of the question. But I do feel like, if y'all both look at each other and somebody doesn't roll their eyes, then, and you're not married, right? And you don't see a ring. And first of all, married people need to wear rings, because this whole, I don't wear my ring for one reason or another. First of all, it's false advertisement, and that's how you get fucked, okay? But I digress. But bottom line is, you know what I'm saying? Talk to motherfuckers if y'all both look. And my expectation as a female is that a male should speak. Period. And again, that's not to say that a woman can't approach a guy and speak and say something, but I definitely feel like if y'all give each other the look, which a guy claims that they have and bitches have too, if there's a look exchange, a damn male needs to speak words. That's what a man does. A man is going to speak words because he understands what the hell his position is in, the circle of life, right? So say some shit. But that's how that was that. It lasted a few days, and there was just nothing worth staying for. I feel like every time I do it, I say, like, I'm not gonna do this shit anymore, but I really feel like I don't want to do that shit anymore. I feel like there's so many other ways to encounter an individual, and there's other ways to get to know someone and really get to know them, rather than a fucking bullshit dating app. Now, does that mean that, I won't end up meeting some person off the motherfucking internet? No, because unfortunately that's what so much shit is. But I just feel like, that organic, I ran into you at the store, I seen you at the library, we were at the museum, that type of shit. We were at the airport, we were on the plane. Those type of things are just more like there was a vibe, and we rubbed that shit out, and here we are, right? and now we're moving along together or whatever. But I just feel like that's what would work best for me. I don't want. I'm so critical. I'm so critical that me looking at guys and looking over what they say and their sort of self summary, I'm so critical that I know for myself that's not how I need to be allowed to evaluate a suitor. Because my pickings are stupid slim that way. So I can't, I know to myself, I'm aware enough to know that that's not how I can go about looking for a male suitor is by, you know, reading these very brief self summaries. I'm just too brutal for that shit. You know, you gotta, you're gonna have to meet me in real time. But that was my experiment. So I guess my conclusion was that I still fucking hate dating apps, whether it was before or after COVID. I feel like the vibe was just a little different. I mean, like I said, I feel like my approach, because it wasn't how I sort of approached them in the past, which was, I would say, more of a, it was just more of a sexy vibe in that I don't know. I don't know. I was more willing to entertain bullshit. And now um, I'm not, because I've come so far. So I'm just looking for something different. So what I put out is different. And so I guess I just didn't anticipate the response. But like I said, you know, part of that response is I'm not paying to see any motherfucking thing. You know what I mean? So if you ain't making this shit available, then it's what the fuck ever, right? You know, they need to make a place where a motherfucking man can donate the money to the bitches that he's attracted to so that they can see that he's attracted to them. That's what I think. Fuck the dumb shit. If the motherfucker's attracted to the female so damn much, let him pay for her to see that he's attracted to her. Because that works for me. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but trying to have fucking everybody pay to see each other, that is fucking ridiculous. No, thank you. Y'all pay men more, let them pay. Shit. So, um, but it's a wrap on that. And I think I am going to burn dating apps at the ends. You know, meaning, I'm not going down that fucking road again. It's fucking over and done with. Shit. I'm so fucking sick. I'm so annoyed with it. And yeah, that's that. You know, I know they work for some people, and like I said, um, you know, some people get married off that shit. A lot of people get married off of it, but it's not for everyone, and not all the time is it what it's supposed to be. So just make sure that the shit is for you, and make sure, you know, recognize that what you put out is, you know, a lot of what you receive. And so if you're trying to receive more with less, you should consider that. But also just be mindful, like, do you want the right attention or do you want the wrong attention? You know, sometimes what you want isn't what you need. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how it is if you are intentional. You just have to think, is this what I want, or is this what the fuck I need? And do I really need to be here right now doing this, or, will this shit come when it's supposed to, how it's supposed to? So that's dating. From a golden girl that is celibate almost 4 years. Yay, exciting. That doesn't mean that, celibate people don't get fucking horny. That just means that we have the discipline to work through that shit and make it another day, just like anybody else who abstains from something, one thing or another that people abstain from. And I've actually, celibacy is just one thing that I've abstained from. But just lately, in the last, let's say, 60 or so days, I've abstained from many things by choice, just to change my body, to make changes for myself. And I'm really proud of myself because it's really fucking hard to be disciplined and to say no to shit that normally you would not ever question doing. Like, you would just do it. But just, saying no every single day, making a conscious decision not to engage in certain activities, not to consume certain things, is empowering in the end, because you know to yourself that you're capable of abstaining and saying no to these things, whether it's sugar, whether it's, pork, right? Whether it's, carbohydrates. Being able to abstain from something, whether it's alcohol or drugs, either. Being able to abstain from something is it's a challenge. It's also very, uh, it's a lot of your mental. And so I'm very proud of myself. And that's not to say that everything has been perfect, but that's damn sure to say that I've been very, um, I've been better than what I thought I could in the beginning, and I'm proud of the progress that I've made. And I look forward to moving forward, knowing that I can make such progress and, making even more progress in the future. So, on that note, I won't say next week's episode because I have a huge project that's coming out. But the next podcast is going to be, the subject for the next podcast is going to be business. And honestly, I am debating a couple things. I'm debating what I want to focus on, like as far as business goes. So, my initial thoughts were I wanted to focus on promise versus delivery. And that's in, whether you're the receiver or you're the deliverer. That's in business, right? What's promised as the vendor or the business versus what you deliver. And that's on the client side. And I know that that's really important. And then it can even be two businesses, right? A business that provides a product and a business that receives that product. And do they receive, what it is that they want? But the foundation of that is the promises that businesses make versus the delivery that they give, and what kind of disconnects can arise, and what contributes to those breakdowns, right? What contributes to those disconnects, whether they be time barriers, language barriers, location barriers, agreement barriers, and things like this. It's really there can really be a disconnect between what you as a, you know, as the promisor, the promisee, believe is supposed to take place and what actually, you get on the delivery and so I feel like it's important to talk about that. But then the other thing is that before I started airing it out with Ariel, I was gonna do a podcast on despicable business because that despicable business basically is about any and every raggedy ass, tacky ass business that behaves in just that fashion, raggedy and tacky fucking way. Whether you call them up, whether you go there, whether you've had to interact with them on some level or another, they have behaved in an unprofessional or unsatisfactory manner. And I don't just mean like a food place or a grocery store. I mean like a government institution, a student, an educational institution, a financial institution, a damn employer, all those motherfuckers. Anybody who you had to interact with in any business, institution, organization, company that you've had to interact with where their service leaves a lot to be fucking desired. So that's the concept of what a despicable business is. But my other thought of what I wanted to discuss when I discussed business was despicable business, and mainly because it is such a constant. It is so constant of an activity, meaning every single time I turn around, whether I'm dealing with the school or whether I'm dealing with another business, I'm regularly dealing with, an ass clown. Somebody that's super tacky or unprofessional or, um, you know, doesn't live up to what the hell it is that they said they were going to do, but absolutely wants you to do all the things that they've asked you to do. I feel like that is so regular that I can't not address, what I would consider despicable business, regular and repeated and intentional actions by businesses to act sometimes even in deceptive ways to take advantage of people, so or to get around shit. Either way, it's a fucking problem. And I feel like a lot of businesses are very comfortable behaving in a despicable manner because people don't say enough shit about them, or they can hide the bad shit that's said about them, and then people don't know. So then other people go and they interact with them, and then boom, they're caught up in the same shit that somebody else was. So, I don't think that I mean, I guess I could talk about both, because I could wrap, one into the other. But those are just a couple of the things that I wanted to hit on as far as the topic for the next podcast, which it really depends, honestly. It depends on how these next couple weeks go with this project, but for sure I won't be doing a show this weekend. This Sunday I won't, but the Sunday after that, I'm not sure. So we will see. I've got a lot of exciting things coming down the pipeline, and I hope to have some super exciting news to share next time I share, guys. So I hope that you found this dating podcast a little bit enlightening, and I hope that you join me for the next podcast when we discuss business, either or promise versus delivery, and or despicable business. Good night. or good morning, whenever it is you refuse.